You know the image, the long curved beak, the round glassy eyes, the black cloak, the plague doctor, the figure that haunted Europe during the Black Death. People remember them as healers, men who stuffed herbs and flowers in their masks to block the stench of death. They walk the streets like shadows, tending to the sick, blessing the dying, keeping themselves safe with strange bird-like disguises. That's what history says. But history doesn't tell you everything, because there was one mask, different from the rest. A mask that didn't just protect its wearer, it consumed them. They called it the Mask of Pestilence. It began in the 14th century, the year the plague swept through Europe like wildfire, bodies stacked on carts, bells tolling through empty streets, priests giving last rites until their voices broke, and in the chaos, doctors turned to strange experiments. They built the masks, grotesque contraptions meant to filter the bad air beaks, stuffed with rosemary, lavender, vinegar-soaked cloth. But one doctor, forgotten by name, but remembered by legend, wanted more than protection. He wanted immunity. He wanted invincibility. And so he built his own mask, not from simple leather and glass, but from bone and iron and something darker. The stories say he stitched it together in secret. He lined the beak with dried hearts of birds. He mixed in ash from plague pyres. He bound the leather with threads taken from the burial shrouds of children. And when he placed it over his face, the whispers began. At first, it seemed like a miracle. The doctor walked freely through the plague-stricken city. Rats scurried at his feet. Fleas swarmed his clothes. But no boils rose on his skin. No fever burned in his blood. He breathed in the foulest air, but his lungs stayed strong. The people called him blessed. They begged him for cures, and he gave them strange ones. Instead of herbs, he prescribed ashes mixed with blood. Instead of prayers, he whispered in tongues no one recognized. The sick grew worse. The dying died faster. But the doctor thrived, and beneath the mask, his eyes blackened. His skin paled. His voice grew hollow. The mask wasn't just protecting him, it was changing him. The whispers grew louder. They told him he was chosen. They told him death was not to be cured. It was to be spread. Soon, entire neighborhoods fell silent after his visits. Witnesses claimed they saw him walking at night, lantern glowing faintly, slipping into homes where the plague had not yet touched. Hours later, the family would be dead. He carried no medicines, only a curved blade and a sack filled with bones that were not his own. The mask of pestilence was feeding, and its host was no longer a man. He became something else, a figure of rot, a servant of plague itself. Children vanished from their beds. Rats followed him like pets. He left symbols scratched into doors. A circle split by a line. Days later, everyone inside would be gone. And always, when he left, the air reeked of vinegar and smoke, and the sound of coughing lingered long after the bodies stopped moving. There are still fragments of accounts, diaries, letters, testimonies, hidden in church records. One speaks of a mother who barred her door as the black doctor approached. She claimed she heard scratching at the wood. Hours later, when she dared to open it, her children were gone. Only small handprints, marked in ash, remained on the walls. Another tells of soldiers who tried to stop him. They cornered him in a village square, spears raised. But the moment they touched him, boils erupted across their flesh. They screamed as black pus filled their throats. By dawn, every soldier was dead. The mask remained untouched. The people whispered that the mask itself was alive, that whoever wore it ceased to be human, that it whispered, commanded, consumed, until there was nothing left but a walking shadow of disease. The Black Death ended, but the mask did not. In the 17th century, during new outbreaks of plague, stories reappeared. A doctor in Venice, wearing an older, more grotesque mask. Villages where the death tolls were twice as high after his visits. Then, in London, during the Great Plague of 1665, children whispered of a birdman stalking the alleys at night. Mothers nailed their shutters shut, but still heard the scratching, still saw the beak in the window. The mask passed from one host to another. It did not die. It only slept, waiting for the next plague to rise. And each time it returned, the dead followed. Centuries later, in the modern day, the mask of pestilence was thought to be myth, just another ghost story buried under history books, until workers renovating an abandoned crypt in rural France found it, buried under lime and bones, sealed in an iron box etched with strange markings. The mask was intact, the leather dark, but unrotted, the beak sharp as ever, the glass eyes still clear. A museum in Paris acquired it, put it on display. Tourists filed past, taking photos, laughing nervously at its grotesque shape. But the staff began to whisper, first about the smell. Not mold, not dust, but a faint reek of vinegar, mixed with rot. Then about the shadows in the halls, always shaped like a man with a long curved beak. And then the deaths began. It started small. A curator collapsed in the archive, lungs blackened with infection. No doctor could explain. A night guard vanished, his radio left hissing with static by the display case. Then, visitors began reporting whispers near the mask, voices muffled, as if speaking through cloth. They swore the mask's eyes moved, that the glass gleamed with a faint red glow. The museum closed the exhibit, locked the mask away, but it was too late, because the mask does not stay in one place. It moves, it chooses, and once it finds a host, the world begins to rot again. They say it's hidden now, deep in storage, wrapped in plastic, sealed in climate control, a harmless relic. But tell me this, if the mask truly fed on plague, if it grew stronger with every breath of sickness, what do you think it's doing right now? The world has seen new plagues, new diseases, whole cities masked once again. Do you really believe it's sleeping? Or is it waiting for someone foolish enough to put it on? And if you ever see it, the long beak, the glassy eyes, the faint smell of vinegar in the air, run, because once the mask of pestilence looks at you, it never looks away.